Inside Lacrosse here in College Park, Maryland at Byrd Stadium, where the Maryland Terrapins just beat the Princeton Tigers 11-4. I'm Zach Babbo. This is Dan Aburn. The story of this game seems pretty simple. Maryland won the possession battle. Maryland played great defense and walked away with a pretty convincing win once they kind of got on a roll in the second half there. What do you kind of take away from this one, Dan?
I think the big thing is defensive. Obviously, Princeton, coming into this game, averaging more than 14 points a game, and Maryland held it to just 4. A lot of that has to do with Charlie Raffa. He just dominated at the X tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Raffa goes 13 of 20 today at the X. Princeton, Chris Bates after the game said he really didn't have an answer for him. That really, Maryland does what they do. They're a methodical team. They control possessions. They cash in those possessions in the long run. You kind of saw that turn in the second half. What do you think kind of opened up for Maryland's offense in the second half?
I think they just found opportunities when they had them. And, Rambo, obviously, he's been great for them all year, but he's finally really starting to establish himself as the guy who can get it done for them every week.
All right, well, we're going to send it back to the IL desk now to check out some of the scores around the country.
Hey everybody, this is Jeff Shannon here with Terry Foy in the hashtag IL Game Day Newsroom. March 7th, a lot of big games today. I want to start out first with number 4 Denver hosting number 3 Notre Dame. Huge game, and then the overtime victory for Denver, 11-10. Terry, you watched the whole thing. Let's talk a little bit about this game. What did you see?
Yeah, so I think to start, it was a period that Denver came out of the gate strong. They scored the first goal, and then Notre Dame stormed back, and I believe put up a 5-goal run in the first quarter. And I thought that there were two things that Notre Dame had clicking offensively that Denver looked like they were going to have trouble dealing with. The first was just the incredible quickness and toughness of Matt Cavanaugh, and that perpetuated itself throughout the game. But also the really strong dodging, and particularly step-down shooting from Sergio Perkovic. And when you have that kind of combination from the attack and midfield, it's clear that it can make it very difficult on defenses to be able to kind of condense and then expand as necessary. So I thought that Notre Dame was getting some really high-quality looks, and I thought that was one of the reasons that Ryan LaPlante ended the day giving up 10 goals and only making 2 saves.
Offensively, Zach Miller scored that overtime goal, had 4 goals, 1 assist on the day. What did you see from Denver's offense today?
Well, it was kind of impressive just down the stretch how much it seemed like they believed in themselves, meaning that there was enough time left in the game to overcome what started out as a 3-goal hole to begin the fourth quarter. And it really did, in so many ways, come down to Zach Miller's calmness. Throughout the game, I made a couple of comments that, with the exception of Connor Cannizzaro, I didn't think that a Denver offensive player had really had a good year so far this season. And I thought that, that level of expectation that we had, which was very high coming into the year, hadn't totally been met. But down the stretch, Miller really showed himself as being just that incredibly smooth dodger, that really crafty goal scorer. He tied the game with a minute and 19 seconds to go after getting switched on to a short stick at X, ISO'd to his left, and scored kind of a diving backhand goal that got around goalie Shane Doss. It was a really impressive goal. And then his overtime game winner was a roll dodge from the top through 2 defenders with an offside hip shot that was just a thing of beauty. And I really thought that the one of the things that'll be kind of an untold story of this game because of the way that it shook out was the timeout that the Denver coaching staff called after DU won the faceoff, tied 10 inside of a minute to go. Eric Adamson ended up going on to score after coming up with that loose ball, but the goal was waved off because of the timeout. So really just an impressive kind of mental fortitude aspect of Denver for them to rebound from that and be able to pull out the victory.
Another game we want to look at today, number 5 Duke hosted number 14 Loyola. Duke comes out with a 14-8 victory. Again, another game that you're able to sit here and watch. What did you take away from this contest?
Well, to start, I thought that Loyola was really impressive in terms of their kind of ability to come back from some haymakers that Duke threw at them early on. Grant Lamone got a start. It's also worth noting that the Duke players who had been suspended indefinitely to start the season, Kyle Keenan and Brian Daly most specifically, were back and playing in this game, and you could kind of feel their impact from the get-go. But once again, it was just one of those things where Duke is going to be paced by their offensive midfield. Deemer Class and Miles Jones both put up 4 goals and an assist. They took 26 shots combined and really just applied too much pressure. Really felt like it wore down Loyola over the course of the game. But on the flip side, I thought that at times, particularly in the second and third quarter, Loyola was able to score goals and keep pace with Duke, which coming into this game, I felt like both of these teams are teams that are going to improve over the course of the year. But because of the ceiling that Duke is closer to their ceiling right now than Loyola is. Loyola is going to get better at potentially a more significant level over the course of the year because of the fact that they just didn't have that high quotient talent-wise that Duke had coming in. And I think you saw the seeds of that. Really impressed by the defenseman Kerrigan, who was guarding Justin Gooderding, and I believe held him scoreless, although, Gooderding's going to have a couple of catches that he's going to want back on that. And then, on the flip side, Zach Harrowires was, is a goal scorer. You saw things like from Tyler Albrecht and Brian Sherlock and specifically Romar Dennis, who gave him a spark early with his shooting that I felt like is going to be an impressive or a building block for Loyola going forward.
You mentioned Jones' class having 8 goals in this game. Case Mathias also had 3 goals and assists. What did you see from him early?
Well, for Mathias, it's really been about battling injury, and so just to get back on the field and be productive was his victory in and of itself. His assist was on a goal to Jones, and he got laid out after delivering the ball and was kind of slow to the huddle to celebrate, but at the same time stayed in the game and stayed impressive. So I think that Case Mathias' ability to control the offense from X is going to be one of the things that's so key for Duke as they get down the stretch. You see the seeds of what this offense is going to be when it's clicking on all cylinders.
Hi, this is Caroline Darney with Inside Lacrosse here from the University of Virginia U-Haul Turf Field after the Cavaliers come away with a 15-14 win over the Cornell Big Red. It was a blowout early, close game at the end. Cornell brings it to 15-14 after 5 straight goals with about 5 minutes left in the game. Donovan led for Cornell with 5 goals today, but the big story is Matt Barrett in goal for Virginia. 21 saves, a new career high, improving on his 20 from Syracuse last week. Defense was strong in front of him all day. Struggled with the face-off X once again, going just 9 of 32 on the face-off X, and behind on ground balls, with a pivotal one being a face-off win by Howard, picking up the ground ball and giving Virginia that ability to run out the clock with about 14 seconds left in the game and secure the victory. On attack, James Pinnell was great today, 6 goals. Zed Williams with 4 assists. Ball movement much crisper, looked cleaner, good cuts, good movement. That'll be crucial going forward, building off of this win here against Cornell as they host on Tuesday night and then host Notre Dame coming up on Saturday.
Terry Foy back in the IL Newsroom here with Jeff Shannon, and wrapping up the top 20 matchups. Villanova exploded offensively for a 17-11 victory over Penn. 2 teams near the bottom of the top 20, but an impressive victory for the Wildcats in a Philadelphia-based showing. Thoughts it's worthy to note that Syracuse came out of the gate slow offensively against St. John's at the Cobb County Classic outside of Atlanta, Georgia. They were trailing 4-0 early. Went on a 14-2 run in over the course of the second quarter on to finish out that game, 14-6. The Orange looked to remain number 1. North Carolina with a dominant performance, 26-6 over Manhattan. Luke Goldstock had a great game in that one, and the UMass Lowell Riverhawks earning their first ever program victory over NJIT, 9-7. And then just to wrap things up, G-Shan, we're talking about a local rivalry. Johns Hopkins hosting the Navy Midshipmen. This is an early season game for what had been previously an April affair, and the Blue Jays pulling out a 13-8 win. What was the most significant thing in terms of Johns Hopkins pulling out the victory?
2 things. One, their offense looked like they're continuing to grow and click a little bit. You're seeing Will Stanwyck have a nice day, 3 goals, 3 assists. Shaq is getting a lot more time on the offense. He's starting now. He had 3 goals today, an assist. Some of those younger guys, Joel Tinney, 2 goals. Ryan Brown, of course, you're expecting him to score 2 goals out of them. Big news on the defensive end. Their starting senior goalie, Eric Schneider, was pulled in the 3rd quarter after having sort of a tough run. He let in 4 goals in a row. Hopkins put in Will Ryan in his stead. Will did okay, but then they started Schneider again at the top of the 4th quarter, and he rebounded really well. He able to take a breath. Talking to him after the game, he said it was just a good time for him to refocus, take a breath. Made 6 saves in that 4th quarter to help seal this game for a 13-8 victory for Johns Hopkins. They're going to need Eric to be tighter, especially through this mid chunk of the season and then into Big Ten play. And that's kind of what I walked away from out of this game, is that he's someone that they're still working with a little bit, but he seems like he has the tools to really put it together after a couple of rough games early in the season. We'll see. That's a story that we're going to follow as time goes on.
And for Navy fans, obviously excited coming off of a midweek win over Towson. Take heart. It was another crazy week in the Patriot League as Boston University beat Colgate and Holy Cross beat Army. Another ranked win for the Crusaders, and their impressive season continues. That's it for the IL Game Day. We appreciate your watching as always. Check back next week.